Good evening, good morning, good evening, everyone. However you're watching this. Hello. It's been 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So basically, what happened was I got COVID. One of my students at the academy I work at tested positive, came to the academy. I tested positive. I got it because of that, and so yeah, I had COVID for 2 weeks. I wrote an entire blog post about it. I don't think I shared it with the Musician Army account. I'll check with admin and see if I should. If you do want to know what happened during my experience with it, during the brunt of it, I'm still recovering from it. It is a very slow recovery. If it's not completely gone by Thanksgiving, I have to go back to my doctor and see what's going on, especially if my fevers don't go away at some point. So, it has been a while. Hello. Hi. I hope everyone did homework. If not, completely fine. So, the last time we had a class, we went over the time signatures and the actual alphabet of the music. This class, we're going to be going over rhythm and everything that goes with rhythm, and it's going to be simple rhythm, as well as, well, not time signatures. We didn't go over time signatures last class. We went over clefs. Confusion because of COVID is very much a thing. I deal with that all the time. So last class we went over clefs with music, are the two main clefs that are used in music, and we also went over the alphabet, and that's what we're going to be doing our homework on, is making sure that everything you guys have is correct. I just realized that I'm over the little live button. Hang on, I'm gonna do a trick. Yay, Grishma! Yay! I'm not expecting people to get 100. It is like homework, and all of this is stuff that's going to be, it will take a while to get used to and to get familiar with seeing, because because music is a different language that you are learning consistently. But this class we're going to be going over time signatures. We're going to start with 3 time signatures, and we're going to be spending a bulk of our time going over rhythm, because everything from this point, when we get into the rest of the time signatures, we get into scales, we get into complex rhythms, we get into tempos, we get into that, you have to have an understanding of this. So all of the stuff that I'm giving you now is truly the skeleton, and then we're going to be getting into the meat. We're going to get into the muscles of music itself. So let me switch over. So we're going to start with, for truly the easy one, which is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And that one, the reason it's easy is because it is, if you remember, it is completely in treble clef. So right here, it is completely in treble clef. So treble clef is the easy clef to be able to read. So the notes here, and I don't even need to write this down because this is the clef that I play. So right here, it's C. So we have our middle note C, middle note C. So we have 2 C's here, and then a G and a G. So we have 2 C's and 2 G's. That's your first 4 notes. That's your first 4. Your next 3 is an A, and then a G. And that's your next set. And we're going to get into what all of this is. Like, all of this is going to get explained in this lesson today. And I'm going to be showing you different examples that uses the different rhythms that are here. And these are all examples of music that I've either played or I very luckily striked out on because I don't have the right type of clarinet to play. So then the next 4 is an F, an E, and then another E. So we have C, C, G, G, A, G, F, E, D, C. That's the next one, D, C. So if you think about it, it's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So C, C, G, G, A, G, F, E, D, C. Okay? Following me so far? Next one, G, G, F, F. So G, G, F, F. E, E, D. G, G, F, F, E, E, D. And just how like you would read with most Western languages, I think it's like 2 languages that go right to left. Everyone else most languages will read right to left to right. It's the same as music. You read left to right. So once you get to the end of the music, you start over. The only difference is that you have to see this line. You typically will see this line because it doesn't make sense to finish this thing in the next line. It's kind of like whenever you're making a sentence in English, like you're writing in English, you keep all the words together, and that's something that I'm actually trying to teach my kids. You keep all the words together. You don't split the word, the English word, whenever you're writing. It's the same thing with music. You don't split it. You keep everything within the 2 lines. If it's everything within the 2 lines, it stays in the 2 lines. So that's why you won't ever see, it will always be spaced out like this, or it'll be really short depending on what this thing is. So we're going to keep going. Then we have G, G, F, F, E, E, D. So twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. G, G, F, F, E, E, D. G, G, F, F, E, E, D. C, C, G, G. A, G. F, F, E, E, D, D, C. Very simple. It literally goes from C to A, C to A. And it's very repetitive. It's very easy, it's very nice, it's very repetitive. These are also some of the very first notes that clarinet players, these are the first ones that clarinet players tend to learn, is going to be C, D, E, F, G, A, and then we'll get into and then we'll go lower before we start going higher. So that's how we do it in the clarinet world. Now, this was easy. Treble clef is easy because you're going C, D, E, F, G. Now let's get to the hard one. Remember, bass clef is the hard one for me. I'm a treble clef. When I sing treble, I sing soprano. When I play my instrument, I play treble. I'm a treble clef. I'm not bass clef. I'm not this guy. You saw my BTS. It's fine. I'm not this guy. I'm not. I got it though. I did get it. All right. I'm going to get into what this thing is, a different class, because this is actually it has a name. Like what this thing right here, it actually does have a name in music, and it's common to use. But just for right now, this is beat 4. So A, line. A, E, E, D. And if you see me looking down, I wrote it down so that way I know I'm right. So A, E, E, D. C, B, A, G. A, B, C, D, E. A, so God rest ye merry gentlemen, da 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 da. Don't try to have me sing. I sang more than I should have today with listening to my music. A, is that A? Next line. Yes. A, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, F, remember, right here, this is where our F line is, this is our F, this will always be F, bass clef is the F clef, F, F, they match. So F, D, E, F, G, A, E, D, G, A, E, D. There it is. C, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, E, D. Hi, Pixie. Mess me up. E, D, C, B, A, and then these two notes, C, B, A, and we're going to get into what this is called. This is a special thing. This is what our lesson is on. D, is that D? Yes. C, D, E, F, G, A, E, D, C, B, A. So this one goes A to A. This one will go from A to A, and it'll stay within the entirety of the clef. Like you notice, it goes to the top line of the clef. It goes into G to A, and it goes into the bottom. So it stays right here in the clef. It's different than the bass clef one, where we were seeing the low notes. This one we're seeing kind of the middle range within the bass clef. With clarinet, where we start in the low range and then we go into the upper range. That's how we do things. So that was homework. Now I have a new toy. I decided not to make a PowerPoint for this particular lesson today because I was lazy, and I found something that is incredibly helpful, and that is this. This is really cool. So it is a really cool whiteboard. It's probably the only good thing that's come out of COVID is whiteboard, because I can make sheet music. Remember our lines? Wait, let me get my little, there we go. Remember, we remember our lines right here. So we have line, space, all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, 5 lines. Hang on, let me get to my chat because I don't have chat up. There we go. So we have our lines and our spaces right here. I love it. I just figured with this one, it's easier to like write it or like actually do interactive, because this part is incredibly important. And I'm turning on a fan because I get hot easily now. I naturally run hot. So if you hear buzzing, I have my little Koya fan. I say you're a BTS fan without saying you're a BTS fan. I have a Koya fan. That says I'm a BTS fan. Now, time signatures and rhythms and all of these things play a huge part in music. Okay? So if I were to show you, let's see, window capture is still, let me see what you guys are seeing. Okay, if I were to show you this, and this is not even, this is a different one, like this, all of this, it looks very different. It looks really weird to someone who doesn't understand what the heck is going on. What does this weird, what does this C mean? What the heck is this? What the heck is this? What are all these? You just see black on a page. That's it. You just see black. So these are all called rhythms. Rhythm is incredibly important because rhythm is how you play, how you sing, how you understand music. So again, I can do cool things. You play, sing, understand, listen to music. Rhythm is the core of everything. When BTS sings, they follow a rhythm. When Megan Thee Stallion is rapping in the remix. She has a set rhythm. They have a rhythm that they're following. If they don't follow this rhythm, then it doesn't make sense. It's not necessarily music. It turns into something else. It has to have that rhythm. It has to have that basic understanding. Okay? So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over, I don't want emojis and stickers, I want music. This guy. See, and one of the reasons why I like this thing, take that out. Go to select mode. I'm still learning how to play with this new toy, so I have a new toy. Okay. This thing right here. So this thing right here is called a bar line. It's never this big. Bar lines, if I zoom into this piece, bar lines are incredibly tiny. Right here. They're kind of the space between music. So if you were to look at a sheet of music and you always see these lines, you're always wondering, why are those lines there? What is that? It's to separate the music. It's to separate each group of these notes to make sure they match what's at the front of the sheet. Because with music, we have to follow this. We have to follow the clef, we have to follow this, and we have to follow this. If this is not followed, it's not correct. It has a certain thing it has to follow, so we have to have those bar lines. Without the bar lines, we have no rhythm. With no rhythm, we're playing incredibly, let's see, what kind of music actually doesn't use rhythm, bar lines or any of that? I think Indian music. Like I think if I'm not mistaken, it's like traditional Indian music doesn't actually have like a rhythm or a tempo or a pattern. I can't remember what instrument it is, but they just like keep plucking and keep playing to whatever is happening. And I think it's that way with some Asian cultures. I'm not about to say yes or no, especially with this being recording. So there are some of my understanding. But bar lines with modern music is incredibly important. Without bar lines, we don't really have anything. Satar! Yes, that's what it is. Yes. Yeah, they don't have beat, rhythm, or any of that. So, then we have this guy. This is a note. 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 These are notes. These are notes. They're notes. Notes are literally the black and white dots that are on the page. They're all notes. Those are all notes. It's what's really and truly written on the page. So it's really and truly, this is a note, this is a note, this is a note, these are notes, these are notes. And there's actually a rule with this, like if you notice this, the lines. So those are notes. They're all notes. The notes themselves, or undo. I want to erase. I just want to erase, actually. There we go. So, if I go here, go to my select, let's go to get my treble clef, and let's do common time. So concert C, we're just going to do concert C, and bar line, put that right here. I can do note, 1, 2, I need to move you, move, I need to move you, 2, 3, 4. Those are all notes. So those are, like, this is what's actually played. These are the things that are played. These are the things that are sung. So everything here, again, makes up rhythm. Rhythm is the understanding of music. Rhythm is how we do everything in music. Now, what I just did, I want to move. What I just did was I made something called a measure. So a measure is this: a group of notes between a bar line. So if I were to do, actually, I'll do this. This will go up here. I need upside half rest. No. I don't want half rest. Never mind. I don't want this. I don't want this rest. You get to see me playing. It's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, those are measures. Measures are the notes in between the bar lines. So it's not, the bar lines aren't like a period necessarily. They're not breathing marks. They can be. They're not commas or any of that. They're the spaces between everything, because everything has to match the beginning of the music. It has to match this. If it doesn't match, it's not right. Okay? So, how in Lord's name, how the heck do we count rhythms? How do we actually count the beats in a measure? There are 5 basic ones that are used all the time. And I'm going to put these in order. Let me find my whole note. I'm going to clear the entire page. Yes. Okay. So we have our good friend, the whole note. A whole note. None of the music that I have prepared has a whole note, by the way. None of it. I have all of the other stuff and the complicated stuff. Not a whole note. Because the stuff that I play, it's very rare that I'm kind of playing a whole note. And if I'm playing a whole note, I'm playing a whole note in a very particular style. And the numbers don't really necessarily match. So a whole note is 4 beats. Forever and ever and ever. We can make it longer. There's a way for us to technically make it shorter. We don't like to make it shorter, but we can. It's easy to make a whole note longer than it is to make it shorter. So, whole notes are 4 beats. 4 beats in a measure. If we want to make it longer, we add something to it. And a lot of times if we're making it longer, it's for a very specific reason. And again, it's to match what the numbers are at the beginning, or like what the numbers are for each measure. So whole note. Whole note's always going to be at the top. It's our lovely whole note. We love our whole note. The whole note is perfect. The whole note is great. The whole note knows all. And then we have half note. Now, half note, to me, especially after knowing whole note, half note is kind of self-explanatory. It's cut in half. If you were to take a whole note and you were to cut it down the middle, you'd have 2 half notes. So a half note gets 2 beats in a measure. Half notes we can make longer. Half notes we can technically make shorter. Technically. There's a way to make them shorter. There's a very weird way to make them shorter. There's ways to use all of this very uniquely in music. I'm not going to get into the unique stuff. I'm going to stick to kind of like the basic stuff for now. We'll get into the unique stuff when we're getting into like style of music and everything. And I think at that point, hopefully Donna or Maddie will like try to take over and let me save like my voice or any of that. So half notes are 2 beats in a measure. Whole notes are 4 beats in a measure. It keeps going down. So then you have quarter notes. Wait, no, there's supposed to be 2. Hang on. I did my math wrong. Yeah, there you go. 2, 2. So you have your whole, and then you cut it in half. So think of an apple. Think of an apple. Think of a fruit. Think of a round fruit. You have the whole fruit. Okay, perfect. It's whole, it's round. If I were to put this in music, it's 4 beats. I want to cut this, I'm going to use an apple because apples. I want to cut the apple in half. So I cut it in half. I now have 2 halves. These are now half notes. There are 2 beats in a measure because I have 2 of them. 1, 2. Now I want to take these and I want to quarter them, which is where we get, how we would get a quarter note. A quarter note is 1 beat in a measure. A quarter note is what's used all the time. All the time. I can't think of kind of one, no, I can, it's a warm-up that we wouldn't use quarter notes, but even then we would, because we would do it at the end, because it would be a slow speed up. We would do half note, whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th, 32nd, trill. We will go down. So a quarter note, I've now quartered it. It's all the time, consistently. I can easily make music just with quarter notes. Like, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was all quarter notes. God Rest You Gentlemen was all quarter notes. They're used consistently, all the time. I saw that message, by the way. So now I have them quartered. I want to break these up even further. I don't want to draw these. I'm going to keep breaking these up. So now we're going to keep breaking these up. And now we're going to get into, let me turn the page of my notes. Eighth notes. Where's my grouping? Where are the groupings? There you are. Pair of eighth notes right here. A pair right here. A pair here. And a pair here. With eighth notes. Eighth notes is where you can start getting a little finicky with rhythm. Eighth notes is kind of where the rules change. Whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, they tend to follow the same rule. You follow what's written on the page. Quarter notes you have a little playroom with. You can turn quarter notes into something really fancy called a quarter note triplet, which is just a really, really long triplet, and we'll get into triplets the next class. But eighth notes and down, like the further down you go, that's when you're going to start getting into the unique styles of rhythm. Quarter notes, you kind of start it. Eighth notes is really when you really get into it, because you can have an eighth note by itself. Oh, it's 64th. Like you can easily have an eighth note by itself. However, the thing with eighth notes so eighth notes get 1 get 1/2. So they get half a beat. Eighth notes don't get a full beat. They don't get 2 beats. They're broke. So we've now halved our quarters, and we're going to keep making it smaller. So we started with the whole apple, we cut it in half, we quartered it, now we halved the quarters. So eighth notes get half a beat. This is where it gets really tricky, and this is where some music, in some pieces, you have the eighth notes written out for each down and up, down, up, down, up. And I'm going to get into that probably tempo, whenever we get into tempo, because that's when it's going to be really important to understand what a downbeat and an upbeat is. Right now, it's not necessary to understand what downbeats and upbeats are. It's more necessary to understand what the note values are and what they mean, instead of trying to get everything that's going on in music. Hang on, okay. That's another thing that keeps happening, is my voice will go in and out. It's great when I have kids that are overly excited. So, there we go. Now, we're going to get into our last one. The last one of these. So now we're going to break this down even further. Let's break this down even further. Where are my... I love that. So... Here. 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 Here's our full set right here. This is our full set. We have our whole notes, 4 beats, half notes, 2 beats, quarter notes, 1 beat, eighth notes, half a beat, 16th notes. These are called 16th notes. Is 1/4 a beat. How are they even played? So when we get to this part, whenever it comes to counting music, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I don't want that. Go away. So this gets into the weird counting where it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and and then it gets into 1 E A A. I didn't learn that. I learned 1 T Theta. So you're basically fitting 4 notes into 1 beat. You're fitting, so what would be 1 quarter note is now you're fitting 4 notes into 1 quarter note. And then you're making 1 quarter note equal a full whole note. However, Grisha's freaking out. We have these wonderful things called 64th and 30. At this point, 64th is known as 32nd notes. 32nd, do any of these pieces have 30 seconds in them? Oh, and then there's septuplets. Septuplets, sextuplets. I'll get into, those are next week. Triplets next week. I just want to, yeah. So right here, these are called 32nd notes. And that's just, you play it really fast. So even though this piece is this movement's very slow. That movement's slow. But it's how many notes can fit in a beat. And this has been this way since writing music became normal. So I would say late medieval, so towards the end of medieval era, which music historians, musicologists believe to be around 1450. and like early Renaissance. So by the time of Shakespeare, the breakdown of how music is played was already set. So this has been this way for, let's see, America is 270 years old. So this has been this way for about 300, 400, 500 years. This specific breakdown. It's how many, and it looks crazy. It looks really crazy, but when you hear it, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Think about all the ad-libs and all the runs that BTS does. They're doing 16ths. That's 16th. When RM, Hobie, or Yoongi are rapping really fast, those are 16ths. It's all the beats in one measure. It looks crazy, it sounds crazy, it's really not because of how common it is in music. Like, let's see. Oh no, that's concerto. Let's see. Yeah, like this. So this is a beat, this is a beat, this is a beat, this is a beat. It's 4 beats and a measure. And it's really and truly just fitting it all in. It sounds really, really pretty. It looks crazy. It sounds really pretty. Like when you really and truly hear it, it sounds gorgeous. And whenever it gets to the 3, 4, like the 3 bar lines or 4 bar lines, or like even you add 5, 6, 7 to a 16th note run, that's where it gets into more instrumental. That's not something that you'll hear vocalists do a lot unless they're like really well trained. Like Maddie could do it, but it's not something you'll typically hear with like pop music. This is getting into the range of, this is in orchestras, this is in wind ensembles, like this is in concert attire pieces, this is orchestral. I think it's raining. No, it's not raining. I thought it was raining. It's really pretty. I like 16th notes. I really like 16th notes. I hate learning them, but once I have it down, I like 16th notes, especially whenever I get to do different ranges, and it sounds really cool whenever we're going into different ranges, especially for like wind instruments, because it takes so much for us to be able to actually get up into those different ranges. It sounds really, really cool. Like, Grishma, I'm gonna tell you to listen to a piece. I'm gonna put it in chat. Listen to Premiere, and this is how it's spelled because it's French. By Premiere Rhapsody by Debussy. It is the hardest piece that I've ever played. It's the one piece I will never play again. I will listen to it consistently, but it has all of this in it. So, when you look at an image, nope, not that one. This is what the typical breakdown is actually going to look like. Now, along with these beats, we also have something called rests. A rest so a rest means resting, not playing. You're resting, you're not playing, you're not singing, you're not doing any of that. Rests also have beats. So with a rest, we have, rests are a little easier in my opinion than notes. So we have what we call, when I was taught this, we call these the hats. We have an upside down hat. This is the upside down hat. Do I have an upside down hat anywhere here? No, I have those. I don't have any upside down. Oh, I do have, this is what it looks like. It's an upside down hat. It's like you take your hat off and you tip it over. It's like a top hat, upside down. So it's an upside down hat. This not necessarily. We'll get this is called a whole rest. So just like a whole note, a whole rest is 4 beats. A whole rest, 4 beats. Oh, it could look like a graduation cap. I never thought of that before. I always just see it as a hat. I always saw it as a top hat. But I've been doing music for 22 years. So, so, and then after we have our whole rest, we then have our half rest. Half rests. Just like half note, half rests get 2 beats. Are you noticing a pattern that I'm going to be getting at? These are all very, very easy. They always match each other. That's the thing with music. Everything will match each other. The way it matches will be different, but they match. Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure we are following. Where are my numbers? We're following these numbers here. 16ths have rests. 32nds have rests. 64ths have rests. Everything has a rest. But whenever you're playing a 16th run, you have a 16th rest on, like, the T of 2. Like, the T would be, like, 1 T, or ta, on, like, this note here, on, like, the third, like, the second or third, it's pointless, because you can't, I don't count it. I'm just like, because it's always when it's fast. It always happens when it's fast. So, and then we have quarter. Where are my quarter rests? Quarter rest. Quarter rests look like very funky cursive Z's. And if anyone has ever seen my Z's, they look exactly like my Z's. No one can draw a quarter rest properly. Because see, this is what a quarter rest looks like in music. This is a quarter rest in music, right here. Okay? So, a quarter rest one beat. I should mention something because I noticed it as I was kept going back here. There's also a special rule with whole rests. I just remembered this rule. So whole rests are either 4 beats or match the numbers for the music. And I'm going to get to what I mean by the numbers. It has to match a specific number in music. Okay? So, there we go. Quarter rests. They're still 1 beat. Half rests are still 2 beats. Quarter rests are still 1 beat. And then 9. Go down. I'm not about to draw all, like, 8 of them. I'm only going to draw 4. And by draw, I mean place. 8th rests. Just like an 8th note, 8th rest gets 1/4 of the beat. Oh, not 1/4 of the beat, half the beat. They only get half. And they should match what a quarter rest is. So if I go back to my favorite piece, eighth rest. So you have the eighth note here, and then you have an eighth rest. Rest 2 3 1 2 3. That is way too fast. What is this? What piece is this? Oh no, that's actually not that fast. I think that's actually about tempo. Yeah, that's actually about tempo. So you have eighth note. I've played this sonata. I've actually played this piece. I'm very proud. I've played this specific movement, and I'm very proud of the fact that I played this movement because where is the? Because this is not easy, and I'm gonna get to that in a different day because this is not easy at all. Not easy. Hate it so much. So eighth rest still get half the beat of a quarter note. So eighth rest gets 1/2 a beat. And then just like 16th notes. The eighth rest does look pretty, but like music in general is just pretty. Like it's music in general. Then 16ths. Here's the cool thing about rests. You know how fast a rest is once it gets to how many of these weird backwards R things that you get. Because you notice with 16th rest, there's 2, meaning that this is supposed to be fast. If there's 3, it's even faster. Like, you can have a lot. And it gets to the point where it's pointless. So, like, 16th rest, consistently. And just like 16th notes, 16th rests. They get 1/4 a beat. Eighth rests are like one. Yeah, whatever helps you remember what these look like. Don't be, ma'am. How dare you? Ma'am, you are 40 minutes late to class. I can't even. So, review for Miss Miss Dobie, who decided to jolt in late. I was at the gym. So, Dobie, so just kind of like a quick review for you. Beats. So everything goes back into rhythm. Everything goes back into what rhythm is, and rhythm is basically just understanding what is being played, what is being sung, what is being listened to. With it, we have 5 main types of notes that we consistently use. We have whole notes, which are 4 beats. So think of an apple. Whole note, it's a whole apple. Half notes, you're now cutting that apple in half, and you now have half. You have half an apple here, half an apple here. That's half notes. Those get 2 beats in a measure. Quarter notes, and this is a review kind of for everyone whenever they watch. Quarter notes, you are cutting the halves into quarters. Quarter notes are only 1 beat, and quarter notes are what's used consistently. Once we get into quarter notes, that's when things start getting a little weird. Also, everything can get longer. Whole notes can be longer than 4 beats. Half notes can be longer than 2 beats. Quarter notes can be longer than a beat. They can. It's a thing. These don't. These don't. These don't. If anything, it makes it easier to play these. So 8th notes. Now you're taking those quarters and you're halving the quarters. So you're taking the quarter apple slices you have, and now you're cutting those quarters. And that's how you get 8th notes. 8th notes are half of a beat in a measure. So that quarter slice, that is a full beat in a piece of music. When you cut it in half, you now have half a beat. And then if you cut it in half again, you have 16th notes, which are a fourth of the beat. And that's when it gets into, you can technically have as many notes in a measure as you want, as long as it fits the numbers that we're going to get to. Also, Dev, I told the audience that that the reason why I wasn't here was because of COVID. So I need to talk to you about things, Miss Admin, fellow admin, on a later time. And so with rests work the same way. Whole rests get 4 beats, or it matches the one of the numbers in the music. And then you have half rests, which are 2 beats, quarter rests, which are beats, 8th rest and 16th rest, which are still the respective same. So they all match the same thing, no matter what. Okay? So I'm gonna turn the page here. Oh yeah, Dev, this is my I gotta finish getting laundry done, because I started that late, and then go to bed. So, oh yeah, Dev, this is my new toy, by the way. New toy. We're gonna add our treble clef right into here. And now we're getting into numbers. There are so these are time signatures. So time signatures, a time signature tells the musician how to play, so how many beats are in a measure, and what gets the beat. What I mean by what gets the beat is it the whole note that gets the beat? Is it the half note? Is it the quarter note? Is it the 8th note? Is it the 16th note? Is it the 32nd note? Like, what note actually gets the beat? What note is 1, 2, 3, and 4? Okay? That's what I mean by how many beats are in a measure, and then what gets the beat. There are 2 types for this. We're going to go through type 1, and then we're going to do type 2 in the next class. So the 2 types are common time signatures and compound time signatures. The reason I'm splitting this is because compound time signatures look really funky. And with compound time signatures comes complex rhythms and triplets and 32nds and dotted 8th 16ths and dotted quarter 8ths and dots added to half notes and whole notes. So we're going to be doing compound next time. Today we're sticking with the basics. And by basics, we're going to go over, we're going to use this guy right here as our main example. So we're going to use this as our main example. Okay? Does this all make sense so far? This is kind of more of a question to Grease, since Grease been here since the beginning. Dev, you just got a crash course because you were late. I even messaged you on Twitter and tagged you consistently on Discord. Dev. Dobie. Do I need to take that sock back? Alright, so let's get into this guy. Let's get into this. So 4, 4. I'll think about it, Dobie. So 4, 4. What in Lord's name is the question you're probably asking, and probably asking it a little differently than how I am. What in all things that is this? What exactly does this mean? Why are there two numbers? Why does there have to be, let me go back up to the top. Why does there have to be two numbers of music? Like, what is this? This is technically a number too, by the way. This is a number. This is a number. Like, why is this a thing? Why do we have these is all different? Why are there numbers? Let's start with the top. We're going to start with the top number. I should have played with this a little more, but it's fine. I want numbers. Just numbers. Numbers. Nope, he's not going to give me what I want. Okay. So, we're going to start with the top number. The top number, so this is the top. The top number, this tells us how many beats are in a measure. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. Whenever you're looking at a new piece of music, the first thing you should look at, one of the first things you should look at is that top number, is the time signature. So you look at the time signature and you look at that top number. And if you see 4/4, or you see a C, in your head, as musicians, you will know that these mean both of these are the same. So both of these, same thing. They're the same forever, always consistently the same. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure itself, okay? So let's go back into our music clef. I just want to get rid of that. Thank you. So that can be we're going to have a whole E. We're going to have a whole note E. That can be one whole note. I'm not doing bass clef. No. No. I do treble. I play treble. I teach with treble. I don't do bass. No, ma'am. So we can have one whole note. One whole note is 4 beats. Okay? Or we can have 2 half notes. 2 half notes equals 4 beats. We can have 4 quarter notes. 4 beats. The one thing I don't like about this is that it doesn't do the upside down 8ths and 16ths like I want it to. We can have 1, 2 sets of 8th notes. Arms on reverse. And then add a treble clef. So we have 1, 2. So let me get my little drawing tool. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a C. It's just the letter C. That's all it is. It's just the letter C. And then 1 t theta, 2 t theta, 3 t theta, 4 t theta. 1 t theta, 2 t theta, 3 t theta, 4. 1 t theta. I'm going to do a double bar line. Bam. So the only thing that this means is that this is the end. That's the only thing that means, is that it's the end. So double bar line just equals end. That's all it means. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have 4 beats in the measure. The top number is the number of beats in a measure. It's one of the very first things, one of the top things you look at. So then, the bottom number then tells us what gets the beat. So what exactly will get the beat? In order for it to be a whole note, the whole note to have 1 beat, there has to be... There's not a way. No, there is. There is. Oh, I've never seen a piece where the whole note has a beat. I don't think. It's like old, if it happens. Half note, there's a 2 at the bottom. Oh, no, it's 1. It's a 1. That's what it is. That's what it is. So it can be anywhere from 1 at the bottom to 64. I've seen 78 too. I've seen so many. The more common, they're crazy. When you get to 16, 64, 78, 32, those are the crazy ones. We don't touch those. Those are ones we don't touch. Those are ones we don't play. Like those are ones that require too much brain power. Way too much brain power. We're doing this one. So bottom 4 tells us exactly which one will get the beat itself. So this will tell us exactly which one goes on 1, 2, 3, 4. What is 1, 2, 3, and 4? Okay? So look here. Which one? There's only one here that has 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that is our quarter notes. Quarter notes are the only ones that would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So what that means is every single time you see number and a 4, you see this 4 equals quarter note. That 4 will always equal a quarter note. The quarter note is on the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. Okay? So if we look at our example 1 here, you notice out of all the purple lines, whole note has 4 lines for 1 note. Half note has 2 lines for 1 note. Quarter note, 1 line per note. Eighth note, 1 line every other note. 16th, 1 line every next grouping. Okay? So we have our 4 at the top that tells us every measure should have 4 beats. From the beginning of the piece until the time signature changes or the end of the piece, there should be 4 beats in a measure. The bottom number tells us which one actually has the beat. Is it the whole note, the half note, the quarter note, eighth note, or 16th? If it's a 4, it's the quarter. Forever. It will never change. It will always be a quarter note. Okay? So, let's look then at our regular 4/4. I don't think I have anything that's 4/4. This isn't. Is this a 4/4? Is marching new a 4/4? Did I just never know this? It is. Oh, it starts in 3. Never mind. Oh, it jumps. We're not going to use marching new. We'll use Mozart. Mozart! So this is the Mozart Clarinet Concerto. No, I am not going to play the entire concerto. No. Because the entire concerto is like 20 minutes long. And I'm not doing that. You can look it up. Clarinet Concerto. Martin Frost performed the Clarinet Concerto with the Bassett Clarinet. There you go. That's the one you need to look up. Clarinet Concerto. So, but if we look at this piece here, C. 4/4 is known as common time. And since we don't want to keep saying 4/4 common time, 4/4 common time, and composers don't want to keep writing 4/4, at some point, a composer got lazy and wrote a C. And ever since then, it's been a C. C always means 4/4. Next class, we'll get into what a C with a line through means. Composers get lazy. We're people. They're people. They get lazy. So, common time right here. 4 beats in a measure. The quarter note gets the beat. Okay? So if we jump down into measure 6. Dobie! So if we look at measure 6, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Ignore everything else. Just look at where the beats are. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then So Gree. Here's some 16th runs that are actually really, really pretty. So we have 1 da 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 da. So 1, 2, 3, 4 with an 8th rest. And then 1, 1, da 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 da. Yeah. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest. The rest is beautiful. The rest is beautiful. And then we have 30 seconds. 30 seconds! Let's see. This is our main theme. Like, that's the main thing. That's the theme of the piece. Like, it sounds really, really pretty. Like, look up this concerto. Like, this is the biggest concerto in clarinet repertoire. Look up this concerto. It is a beautiful concerto. Okay? So this is 4/4. 4/4 is used in most music. BTS sings predominantly in 4/4. I can name... Lie starts in 4/4 and then switches into a different time signature. Most of V likes to mess with V likes to play with compound time signatures. Still With You, I think, is in 3. But like a lot of BTS's music is going to be in 4/4. So whenever you're listening to BTS's music, listen for where the beat drops. A good example of how to tell where the beat is if you're watching a dance practice video. Specifically, and I'm actually going to play this when we get to tempos and keeping tempo and keeping with the beat. I'm going to play this one. I don't care. I will play it. Yeah, or I'll make it homework for people to play it. I'll probably make it homework. That way, copyright. BTS's dance practice of Fire. Look at Aaron's feet. Only hit I'm gonna get. So we have our 4/4. Now, wait, I think one of these. Yeah, this is another example of 4/4 right here. So this is 1, 2, rest. Let me zoom in, rest. So this is 1, 2, this is rest, 3, and then 4. And we're going to get into what all of these mean and all of that in a different time, just to make it easier on everyone, okay? And so we'd have a half rest followed by a quarter note to a quarter note, and these are octaves. These actually are, so it's octaves, octave, octave, octave. And then half notes on the lowest note I can play on my instrument. And wait, is this my favorite one? No, this is the second movement. It's not even my favorite. It's not even my favorite movement. We're looking at the second movement. First movement. Here we go. Favorite movement. So, in order to get to my favorite movement, we first must create a treble clef. Right here. Create a treble clef. And then 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. So 3, 4. How many beats are in the measure in a 3/4 time signature? If it's a 3/4 time signature, how many beats are in a measure? I'm gonna take a minute because I know stream and everything's like really, really behind. If 4/4, so hint, if 4/4, there are 4 beats in a measure, looking at the top number. The top number is the one that changes. Very good, Gree. There's 3. It's 3 beats. Whole notes aren't used in 3/4 because whole notes have 4 beats. They cannot be used. So by this point, with 3/4, if you're wanting to make a long note, you have to add a dot to a half note, which is fine. And it just makes it a beat longer. That's all it does. So, in order to, and I'm about to show you this. So in order to have a one measure of one note, so we have a half note here, I'm going to add something called a dot. Now, this dot, so the dot makes the note a beat, either a beat, so it makes the note between a whole beat, a half beat longer. So what it does, so what this does is depending on where the dot is attached to. If it's a half note or a whole note, it extends it. So if it's a whole note, it extends it for however many extra beats it needs to be extended to. If it's a half note, it extends it 1 extra beat. This rule is going to change next class. There's exceptions to it, and that gets into compound time signatures, because compound time signatures are, there's a reason they're called compound. Very important reason. But in common time signatures, 3/4, 4/4, 2/4, anything with 4 on the bottom, the dot typically makes the note either a beat longer or half a beat. And the reason I say half a beat, because whenever a quarter note has a dot added, it becomes a beat and a half, meaning we have to add an eighth note in order to fill in that last beat to where it's a full thing. And sounds confusing. Believe me, it does. We're going to get into those details. We're going to get into counting and how to actually count music, because counting is important. So getting back into here, to make one long note, we add a dot, and then a bar line. If we're going to do, you hate it now, you will love the dot whenever it comes to compound. Believe me, the dot makes life easy in compound time. The dot becomes your best friend. The dot is literally your best friend. Except for eighth notes, they suck. So we can do a quarter note or a half or whole note, and I'm gonna make it a G. We can do 3 quarter notes. We can do eighth note and a quarter note. Like with 3/4, and even with 4/4, it just goes on and on and on. I want to click and draw. It just keeps going on. It'll keep going. Just keep going. It'll just keep on going. Now, here's the thing with 3/4. There's a couple things. Depending on how fast you're playing in 3/4, it will sound like it's in 1. I am going to play this example. So notice, this is in 3/4 right here. So we're in 3/4. When you listen to it, try to see if you can count to 3, even by following this. See if you can count to 3. Believe me, it's going to take a while to get used to hearing it. Okay, so let's listen to it. Let me make sure that I have everything. Okay. Let's see. I'm even gonna help. So I'm gonna start it again, so that way I can be able to help. what long rests look like. So this is a long rest. So this is multi-measures. So this is what more than one measure. This is what like more than one measure rest looks like. No, that's a G. Oh, that's a G. I was fingering the wrong thing. I was fingering an A. I wasn't fingering a G. I was doing E. Wait, is that a G? G, A, B, C. Yep, that's a G. That is so a G. That's so a G. No, that's an A. Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, that's an E. So the piece, it's the last movement in a piece called Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire Posy. That is by Percy Grainger. Now, this piece, if I were to show you the actual video, and the performance we listened to was from the U.S. Marine Corps, the President's Own, which is like the top ensemble you can get to in America. Like, if you're part of the President's Own, you are, like, one of the best musicians in America. Like, holy crap. If I could ever be a part of them, it would be, like, a dream come true as a musician. But you have to be, like, hella trained and gone to conservatory schools for, like, 50 years. Not really 50, exaggerating, but it's still a lot. But this entire piece is done 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's in 1 because of how fast it is. So if the conductor were to try to conduct this in 3, because like remember whatever I said about orchestra and band, we have to have the actual beats conducted. So if I'm looking at the conductor, I have to see where 1 and 2, I have to see where 1 is at all times. So that way I know where my beat, I know I'm right. When it's 3/4, if it's really fast, it's like that gets too hard on a conductor's arm. Like, I can be able to tap that with my foot, but I just stopped doing that after a while because I'm just going da, 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 da. Like, I know, okay, I have to make sure I'm hitting 1 every time. So that's one way of 3/4 being played. And also with 4/4, BTS does this too because I hear it all the time. When 4/4 is fast, it's in 2. You'll actually hear it kind of going into 2. And the reason I'm not getting into that, because there is music that is set in that style, and that's something we're going to get into next time. But with 3/4, we're not going to get into that. I can name a list of other pieces. I can name a few other pieces that are like definitely in 1, and it's like meant to be like conducted, and it's meant to have like a 1 feel, and that's what 3/4 does. Another thing, everyone knows the waltz. The waltz, it's in 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 3/4 is a waltz tempo. It's a very much waltzy waltz tempo. It's one of my favorite ones to play in. I like playing, if I have to choose one of the commons, I'd rather play in 3/4 because it's so versatile. There's so many different ways to be able to play 3/4. 4/4, it's kind of like straightforward, like no matter what, this is what it's going to be. 3/4, you can be able to do different things with it. It doesn't have to sound like a waltz. It doesn't have to be in 1. Like, it can be in it can be a pretty ballad. Like, it's very, very versatile. To me, it's very versatile. I love it. I love playing in 3/4. I love playing in 4/4. Like, common times for me are incredibly easy. But I've also been playing for like 20 years, almost. So 3/4s, incredibly simple. Our last one. Our last one is going to be 2/4. 2/4. There are 2 beats in a measure. So we've gone from 4 beats to 3 beats to 2 beats in a measure. The quarter note still has the main beat. The only difference is that the half note is now a full measure. There's no dots, there's nothing to add to it. That half note is a measure. That's it. That's the only thing. When we get into more complicated ones and more complex ones, they get into where the bigger the value of beats, the more it's not going to be played. And that's what 2/4 is. So with 2/4, 2/4 is predominantly a march time signature. For example, because I have one. Wait, no, that's Lincolnshire. This one. This is a piece that I've played. So this piece is called The White Rose March. It is by John Philip Sousa. Sousa is the father of all marches in America. What if there's a whole... There would never be a whole note in a 2/4 time signature. No, because the whole note has 4 beats and the half note has 2 beats, and those are, like, that's the basic rule. You won't ever see a whole note in 2/4. And if you do, it's for some weird, dumb reason that doesn't make any sense, and you just don't question it, and you just ask the director, or you just ask someone, okay, how many beats is this going to be? But most of the time, because the half note has 2 beats, the half note is going to have that. The half note is going to be your long note. You're not going to see a whole note. And if you need to have a note that's as long, and if you need it to connect over to where you get 4 beats of playing the one note, you put in something called a tie, and that just connects the notes between the measures together. And that's really all you do. So, well, it connects the same note in the measure. Within measures, it can, like, for example, this right here. This is a perfect example. Thank you. The one thing Sousa's good for. So, like, this right here, this line between these 2 B's, this is a tie. This is called a tie. These are called slurs. This is called a tie. So, Sousa, composer of marches. Me, clarinet. I rest most of the time about 3/4 measures in a Sousa march. Yep. That's if I'm playing all of these repeats, all these things called repeats. That's if I'm playing all of them. If I'm not, then I get to rest a lot more, and it's great. This is a piece that I played in high school. So let me pull this one up. Rose March, Sousa. So this is also by the Marine Band. This is also by the President's Own. Like, Sousa. Okay. So listen to how this is done. Half rest. I can't do that ending. I haven't done that. I haven't done this in like 10 years. I haven't done this in 10 years. No, 11 years. So, March. Marches are great. Marches are wonderful. So, why people would want to dance to a march, I have no idea. Great, you do you, boo. But marches were typically marches are normally played with in military bands as a way to like kind of pep up and energize the crowd. Whenever you go to every single time in America, we'll play Sousa marches for 4th of July. We're constantly playing like Sousa. Sousa is the father of marches. Like every single major march that we know in the United States was written by Sousa. Stars and Stripes Forever, Semper Fi, those were all written by John Philip Sousa. And if you don't and Semper Fi is for the Marine Corps. Stars and Stripes Forever has the piccolo solo. If you ever listen to it, like it's a way to instantly tell that it's a Sousa march. Another way to tell if it's a Sousa march is just like the style. It's very separated and like attacked mostly all the time. And then with marches, there's always this like pretty nice, pretty section, and then it goes back into hardcore, but it's not the same hardcore as the beginning. It's very different, and that's the march style. Marches are typically written in 2/4. I've played marches in 2/4, and I've also played them in compound time, and I've played them in cut time. And it's easier to conduct it in 2 because they're always fast. It's easier to put it in 2 than it is to put it in 4 because of just like how fast you're having to go. It's just quicker just to put it in 2, if that all makes sense. That's just the way it all works. Marches, they could be fun for you, but if you saw me, I messed up a bunch. Like, so this is something that I have played. I haven't played it in many years, and I could barely remember how to do the ending, and I kept forgetting the key sign. Like, I kept forgetting these sharps. Like, I had to keep glancing back and making sure that I had the right sharps and everything. So this was time signatures. Okay. Sorry, I just got a text message saying that something got canceled. These are time signatures and rhythms. Like, this is basic rhythm. So with this, here's your homework. And I'm going to message Dev this too, because there's no way Dev's going to be coming back in time. This is going to be your homework. So your homework itself is, you are to write on your own paper 4 measures in 4/4, And this is how, so with with music, this is how we write music if it's not on a sheet music. This is how we do time signatures. We do them as halves, because that's initially what it is. It's a half. Like, it looks like a fraction, so we'll write it like as though we're typing a fraction. So you were to do 4 measures in 4/4, 4 measures in 3/4, and 4 measures in 2/4. Okay? These can be anything, but you have to make sure that the measures match what the time signature is. If it's 4/4, 4 beats in a measure. 3/4, 3 beats. 2/4, 2 beats. You can do whatever as long as it matches. So if you're doing 3/4 or 2/4, you cannot use whole notes. If you're doing 4/4, you can use whole notes. If you're doing 2/4, you can use, the longest note you can have is a half note. If you're doing 3/4, the longest note you can have is a dotted half. Okay? When you're done, take a picture and send it to me. Like, send it to Musician Armies on Discord. If you're in the Discord, which I know Gree is, send it to Musician Armies, or like send it to me if you're on Discord, or on Twitter, just DM Musician Armies with a picture of what you've done. So that way I can be able to see. Myself, Maddie, or one of my friends, Donna, can be able to see what exactly you've done and see if it matches what it's supposed to be. So just remember the tree. Remember the apple. My apple analogy. And if I ever teach music to kids, that's how I'm going to teach it to my kids. I'm going to teach it to students. From now on, it's going to be the apple. Just remember this. 2/4, 3/4 do not get a whole note. They don't get whole note. Whole note is only for 4/4. Alright? I will let you know when the next class is going to be. It all still depends on my slowly regaining health, as I am still recovering from coronavirus. If you have not gotten the vaccine, please get the vaccine, so that way you don't go through the hell that I went through. And if you're not able to get the vaccine, like I was not able to, please stay incredibly safe. And just remember that if you think you're safe, there's still a chance you're gonna get it. I got really lucky in how quickly I got treated. So, I have friends that are currently battling it right now, and they've been vaccinated. It's great. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next class. Goodbye.